So this is Diesel for We the People News. I'm not an attorney, don't care to be an attorney. Don't want to dumb myself down. I want to get smarter, not dumber. That's not an insult to the attorneys, but you know, if you don't study all the way around you and just stick into one thing, how can you grow? Alright, never just look straight forward. Always look around you, for the outside forces may want to commit harm upon you. Alrighty? So, full disclosure, this is a learning video. Take it as you wish. Okay? I know this guy, and this guy did this, or this man, okay? And he had success. Okay? What he did may not work for everybody because he is blunt, straightforward, and backs up with his knowledge with authority. Now, some people have failures at this because they hesitate, and when they start asking questions, they get tripped up. Okay, and that's just my observation, reason why it works for some and not others. Okay, some back up with authority, some don't. All right, some back up with their knowledge and quick thinking, some can't. Alright, hesitated there for a second because, for whatever reason, this is in essence buying a $35,000 car for $2,500. The bank paid it because the bank owes it. Alright, I'll let him go into more details of the situation at hand because he's more experienced than I am at this, alright? I do not fully understand what he did and how he did it. I just know enough that it can be done. Okay?
Alright, I'm going to make a quick video for y'all. Some of y'all are confused on this.
By the way, it's not going to be a quick video.
Me getting a car and essentially not paying anything for this car from the post the other day, and you're questioning or confused on it. You've got to go back through history and I'll give you some pointers of where to start looking and books to read, such as Modern Money Mechanics. Modern Money Mechanics teaches you a lot how the banking system actually works, and then Walker Todd, the affidavit for Walker Todd, it was a court case that he came in as a witness with an affidavit and has a lot of information on there as well on what the banks are actually doing. And I believe that was in a foreclosure case on a home. Essentially, a man and a woman are the creditors. These courts and banks and all them, they're bankrupt. Men and women are the only thing that can create energy in this world. They're feeding off of our time and energy. So, the bankruptcy of 1933, shortly after everybody had to give up their silver and gold, which was actually, they used the word persons. But most were led to believe that they had to give up their silver and gold. But for every recourse, there's required to be a remedy. And that remedy fell under House Joint Resolution 192. 192 essentially had made all our debt obligations prepaid in the obligation of the United States. So all our debts are prepaid. Now, an application is always filled out when you go purchase a home or a car or take out some type of bank loan. That application is essentially what is creating the money. They take it to the Treasury window. Say, for instance, in this case, I wanted a $35,000 car. So the application was filled out. It was approved. The deeder goes to the Treasury window and gets basically paid. They create a security agreement with me, which is the contract and you have numerous banks trying to, it looks like the banks are looking at the credit to decide what type of interest rate they're going to give you or whatsoever. In reality, what they're doing is they are trying to determine if they want to purchase this security agreement. Because in reality, they're the debtors and borrowers. You're the creditor. They trick you into signing, making the bank, you believe the bank loans you the money, and the only thing banks do is they purchase security agreements. Well, the dealership created the security agreement. They trick you into signing it, and you believe the bank's loaning you money, and now the bank purchases this security agreement, and you give up the ownership of that vehicle to the bank when you sign that security agreement. And if you don't make the payments on that vehicle or house or whatever it is in that security agreement, it states that they can come and take your whatever it is you use for security, which would be the house, the car, or whatever. Under contract law, both parties must give and both parties must receive. Now, if the bank did not loan you the money, you're the creditor, they've used your tax exemption. What did the bank give in return? The bank did not give anything. So this is how they're playing games with y'all and so forth. And keep in mind, anytime you need a signature on anything, they're monetizing on it, and it's a contract. Just like child support. They get you in there and they trick you, and it looks like a court. But what they're doing is they're creating a contract, which is a security agreement. You know, that was prepaid already. Once you sign on it, it's been prepaid. And now they're coming after you on monthly bills, and if you don't pay these bills in that security agreement, it states they can take your driver's license, you know, it can lock you up for 6 months for contempt of court. I mean, these are all things in this contract that they're holding you to. What people are missing is you've got to go after the contract, you know, based on fraud, full disclosure, unconscionable, you know, where's the meetings of the minds, and so forth. You'll find 9 times out of 10 they don't want to answer you because the courts usually protect them unless you know how to work the process right. Things such as a conditional acceptance on proof of claim, and you bind them into a new contract and do the administrative process because they're administrative courts. You know, other things can be actual fact-finding if the courts are actually acting as a fact-finding, and you're standing in honor. You don't want to argue, but if you go in as a man and you want to stay in honor and you're just there to try to settle the matter, you know, upon verifiable proof of their claim, there's different remedies in it. But back to this car that I got, and the only thing that I had invested into this $35,000 car was I used my credit card for the $2,500 down on it, and that's the only thing I've got invested in it. And as you've seen, it was showing to be the payment was paid on the 31st of May, which was the day that we picked out the car and drove the car off. However, you see that the account was closed on July 13th. Well, what I essentially did is, remember, acquiescence is, silence is acquiescence. And so when I signed that contract, I just didn't, and the way I signed it, I didn't let it go from there. I immediately, the following day or two, I called the bank and I'm like, hey, I got a question about this contract, you know. I'm seeing here that the dealer is claiming to be the seller / creditor, and I'm a little confused on this. How can they be a seller and a creditor if y'all, the bank, are claiming that y'all loan me the money, you know? And I started off with simple little questions like this and to see where they would go with it. And then vice versa. I'd call the dealership and I'd start questioning. In fact, I went down to the dealership and spoke to them a little bit and boxed them in because I knew the right questions to ask. So I didn't let it go, and it's on the record that if meetings of the minds ain't taking place and these phone calls were being recorded, then it becomes evidence on the record that meetings of the minds never took place. So then you come back in a few days later and you start questioning, but the more you know, you start boxing them in more and more of how the banking system actually works, and then they don't know how to reply to you. For instance, one time when I boxed them in, they said, well, you need to call the dealer on that. And I said, well, but it's stating here and here, this is what you're saying, so I'm not understanding. Another time they told me, okay, well, the bank says that they loan the money to the dealer when I boxed them in. I said, so my response to that was, okay, so if you loan the dealer the money, then how am I obligated to pay for the dealer that you loaned the money to, but you didn't loan the money to me, but yet you're holding a security acting as if you're a holder in due course of this vehicle? I said, help me understand where meetings of the minds are taking place. But it goes back to knowing the banking system and how everything works, and being able to come back with them and box them in to where they're like, well, crap, this guy knows too much and we really better just get out of this. What really took place is the dealer had ended up, well, I had a confrontation with the dealer and they were trying to play the games too, and I hit them with a notice of trespass and exposed a lot of stuff into there. The dealer had contacted the bank and the dealer asked to close the account out. But at the time, and this was a few days before the 13th, the bank would not tell me why the dealer was coming in trying to modify the so-called contract, which if they went to modify it, they had to tell me because you can't just go modify a contract. Well, to make a long story short, the dealer had basically got with the bank. They both worked together and informed each other I knew too much and decided it was best to go ahead and close the account out, especially when I reserved all my rights and they created two separate contracts, which were security agreements, because they held me under duress when they wasn't allowing me to use the one where I reserved all my rights. I'm fixing to drive off on the car and I let it be known. Okay, so I'm being extorted to sign a different contract and not be able to reserve my rights so you can sell this security agreement. And yet they gave me the wrong copy back. What they gave me was the copy where I reserved all my rights and not the one where they were holding me extort my property because they were already paid. Remember, they used my credit, my tax exemption. So sometimes it's harder, and sometimes, you know, some people it's easier, but the key deal is understanding banking. And many of y'all were asking questions the other day and not understanding what I was posting in that video of how the bank was showing it was closed and so forth, and thinking, okay, well, I paid them $35,000 for a car, you know, out of my bank account or something like that. I rest assure you, I don't have $35,000. If I did, I wouldn't be living in a damn travel trailer right now. So I just been learning and studying, and as I learn and study, I just try to give y'all the knowledge, and then when I have success, I try to share it with y'all and help y'all grow, you know. It's when you have the facts before you that people pay attention to, and that's what makes their mind expand to where, hey, you know, now I want to learn this process. I see what he's doing. I'm seeing he has success when you got 1,000 other people out there trying to say something but no results. So, anyways, I recommend for sure reading the book of Modern Money Mechanics and then the affidavit of Walker Todd, which the affidavit for Walker Todd is you can get that affidavit for free online. book of Modern Money Mechanics. Many of us have a PDF of it, or I can't say many of us, a few of us. And from what I've been told, it's hard to get that book like through Amazon or any place like that anymore because it's so powerful. They don't want the public to have it. So the last book I seen was around $400 for that book. So if you do find it, you know, be expecting to pay a few $100s to purchase that book. So anyway, I just here to drop some pointers, and so you'll have a basic idea. You know, they use that promissory note. That promissory note funded everything. So hope this clears up a little bit for y'all that are trying to gather and figure out what took place. There's other ways, you know, like some of y'all seen that I had success with the, I think it was a $5 money order where a $5 postal money order, and I tried it because I'd never done that process, and I tried it with my Discover card, and I tried it with my Chase credit card, and it worked with my Discover card, but it did not work with my Chase card. And so what the difference was, I don't know, because I used the same affidavit and so forth. And maybe it was because as I read up on it, there's got to be controversy. And with Discover, I did call and start questioning about some bills on the Discover. You know, I never did that with Chase. So maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe I just didn't stick with it hard enough to get remedy with the Chase credit card, but it worked with the Discover. So, and of course I see people doing the same process, and some have luck and some don't. So that I haven't figured out why it works some places and some places don't. And your guess is probably as good as mine. So, and you can do that. You can try it with your home loans. You can try it with your car payments. That was my next step, was going to, with the car, because they had it listed at $650 a month. The next step I was going to have, if I didn't have this success, was going to convert that coupon to a monthly payment at $650 a month. Well, if the coupon had a full amount on the coupon for the full $35,000, it would have made sense for me to make the coupon out for $35,000 instead of $650. However, the coupon only listed $650, so that's all I would be able to try to make that coupon out for, make it into a money order and convert it over to pay to the Treasury Department. So, and of course, I've never done that with a car loan, but it was something new I was going to try. But I had success without having to go that route. So, I mean, I'm just giving you things that I have seen that worked. The same process that I was have seen numerous times to settle. Trying to think of how it's properly worded, but satisfactory and so forth. Anyways, it's a proper way to do it, and putting your EIN number and so forth on there, and you send it to the U.S. Treasury Department, and then what they do is discharge the debt. So maybe one day I'll share some files with this group and stuff that I got, so you can see, you know, hell, maybe some of y'all will have success with it, some of you won't, you know, because it's why it happens to some people with being successful and why it happens to others, I don't know, but I've had success on, like I said, on some of it, and some of it I didn't. Same thing with other people. But hey, if the information can help one person out, you know, then so be it. So I may share some of that information with y'all, and you can try it. But you got to remember, like your utility bills, you got to be careful on that, because it takes about 45 days for the process to work. So if your electricity or gas or whatever is going to be shut off in 45 days, you know, you want to be prepared, at least make the minimum payment on there or something to where it ain't shut off. So, anyways, good luck, and I just figured I'd share this with y'all and try to give you some pointers of where to search. I can't just tell you everything because I could go on and spend hours, and y'all would still be going like, what? So, I just recommend reading the Modern Money Mechanics book and the affidavit of Walker Todd. That would get you to a better understanding of what's really going on in the banking system and what these courts are doing, making securities and selling them and making you a debtor, you know, instead of the creditor. So, all right, y'all have a good day.
Okay, so me listening to this a couple of times, I did a video earlier and I accidentally trashed it, but it gave me a chance to listen to it again. So when people do this, alright, they don't go all out, and he usually finds ways to get out of things, right? So some of these people is not having access. Maybe the simple fact they didn't know how to do a notice of trespass when it happened, right? He did a notice of trespass. Well, that's a powerful thing when they're coming after you, right? So I think that is one of the reasons for some of the people, okay? Now the other one is, I've done this on other videos, right? Always put all rights reserved, right? With or without prejudice, it just depends on the circumstances of it, but always put all rights reserved on everything you do, okay? And I think that's where a lot of people kind of loses on the case. Now, like he said, some of them may be a little easier than others, and this, that, here, and there, and they just don't want to challenge it. But I think with that all rights reserves that most people kind of forget about, and the notice of trespass when they're trying to come after him, right? So that's very powerful also. So I may be wrong. That's just in my opinion, okay? It's not a facts or anything like that. It's an opinion, and we're talking about this as a learning deal, okay? So I could see how some people would lose on this by just missing the couple of elements right there, right? And it drops the whole case, okay? So, and the other one is going to be this right here. When you hesitate, that sends up red flags with them, right? Because now they're thinking you don't know what you're talking about, right? And it depends on how bad you hesitate on this, right? It's kind of like court, okay? When you hesitate in court, it kind of gives the judge like, what does he not know, right? And then the courts will go into a different direction with whatever these charges would be, right? Because you know a lot, but how can I get him in my jurisdiction? So he's going to try to do a reroute because there was a hesitation, right? I know another man who went into court, and pretty much all he did is says, I don't know you, don't know you, don't know you, you know? And you have no authority over me. Because he was blunt, direct, with authority. And I think a lot of ways, when you do these things, you got to know what you're doing, and you got to be direct and on point, right? Kind of like the actor when you watch a movie. When you get a really good actor on there, you can't tell if it's fake or real, right? You can't tell that the man or woman on that movie actually studied the sheets, right? So when you get good at what you're doing, you're kind of going into acting because you're so knowledgeable about everything that whatever comes up, you know, you had actors that brought things into their movies or shows, and they got ahead and added to it because he jumped from one here and he added his own little touch in there because he was quick thinking, right? So all these things do come in effect on all these things, right? I hesitate sometimes because I just come on the channel and do what I do, and I don't sit and study for hours. So I do hesitate at other times. But when you're in court and your knowledge, it's a lot more easier to direct your attention to them, right? Because you studied, you research it, and you can back your knowledge up, right? Anyway, whether that may be the case or not, who knows? I don't know what the other people did. I just know that he walked away with this car. Alright? So what he did correctly, and he walked away with it. And just so you guys know, there was a bankruptcy in 1933. In order to borrow money, there has to be some type of collateral, right? Will that be us? We'll go back into some type of birth certificate, title lien, okay? You know, and I believe in 1954 there was another bankruptcy. It was in the 50s, but I believe it's 54, and I could be wrong about that, so don't take that as facts. But there was another bankruptcy in the early 50s, okay? So, bam, bam, right? There's two bankruptcies. Well, that just put our country maybe clear of debt, but when they had to borrow money, who's milking the cow? Well, the government's milking us, right? And the bank lenders know all this, and well, they're just double dipping, right? So the banks is drawing interest off the government, and the banks are drawing money off you when everything is supposed to be paid, right, from the government. But we go back with Roman civil law, which we're under anyway. Civil law, we're under Roman civil law, right? If you don't, if you're too stupid to know what you're doing, then we're going to take advantage of you. And that's just the easy short term of everything that I'm saying. Okay? Oh, a little spider. Ugh. I hate spiders. Okay. Anyway, man, these spiders are getting outrageous in this town here. All this water and rain and everything. So, this is Diesel for We the People News. Take it with a grain of salt. Learn from it. Don't learn from it. I don't have enough knowledge to know how he did these things. I haven't really spoken to him a whole lot after this right here, so I don't have any great details to add to this. But the simple fact that he did success on it, right? That's the only thing I got proof of. Okay? This is Diesel for We the People News. Bye, y'all.